Well, hello, hello. Welcome back to Release Your Inner Power podcast. Today we have a fun guest. Her name is Kim, and she's going to tell us her story and what she's all about. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, Shona. Thank you very much. Oh gosh, it's lovely to be here with you once again. Uh, let's talk about mom's relationship, life, my life. So what brings me here? Oh gosh,
Yeah.
so much, and yet I think the story is very similar to everybody else. I have a job that I like, love, hate, all the things in between, and one day I realized that what I was doing in my job, I could be doing for myself and helping people in ways that I felt would be more beneficial. So, what I do is that I am a lecturer in Spanish and Latin American culture. And I wanted to bring that into more mainstream use in my community. So I started that work and I started building courses online and I started hosting workshops and taking on clients to teach them the language and to understand the culture better. And as I did that over and over and over and over again, I realized that so many of the ladies that I was working with, they had an interest in the language because they were building up their relationship with their partners, who were very often from Spanish speaking backgrounds. And
Okay.
so that's what led me to start working in the relationship field. But that was just one part, right? That's almost like I guess the Cliff's Notes version, because it
Yeah.
was all the stuff that was happening around. Because I left out the part that COVID happened in the middle of all that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
know how that goes.
Little bump in the road. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just minor. Um, it. I think for me, a lot of things had come fairly easily. We talk about think starting a family is challenging and it stretches you in ways you never imagined before, and that is true. Even you know getting married or starting a long-term relationship with someone and living with someone and having to learn how to live your independent life merged now with someone else's, that stretches you as well. And I think I had probably had a fairly easy transition into all of those stages. I mean, I'm not saying it was, without its challenges, but when I decided I was going to throw in, my own business into the middle of that, well, that's when things just went totally, totally crazy. And
Yeah.
I just lost all semblance of what was normal, what was routine. I lost all semblance of even like who I was and why I was doing what I was doing. I remember at one point it became like I really am frustrated at my job and I need to build this business. And I mean, I would go like days and weeks, but that would just be like the one mantra in my brain. And then COVID happened and it just became so much harder to do. And then now, all of the time I'd had alone to work on certain things, now I was constantly with my husband and children. And I was trying to help them settle into COVID and the
Mhm.
new routines and, the fears that everyone was facing. It was just a hot mess. I
It's a
mean,
lot.
what's up?
It's a lot. Like everything that you're saying, relationship, the kids, your husband, and then the job, and then let's just sprinkle on some COVID there.
Exactly. That's just the five of you in a house all day long, every day for like, we don't know how long it's going to last.
Right, right.
So, um, I think I was very fortunate at that time. I remember, and again, I don't think this is not, I'm not unique in this sense. I do remember days just kind of hiding in my room or hiding in the bathroom, kind of lying on the floor and just being totally overwhelmed by everything and having zero idea of what I was supposed to do next. I even remember, being up at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, walking around our bedroom and my husband was sleeping and just going absolutely mad because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing at this point.
Mhm.
And at one point my husband asked me, he's like, well, do you think, should you look into counseling? Should we find a therapist? And I'm like, maybe. I'm not ruling it out. I think that's a possibility, but I just need some time to think. And around that time I had started coaching. And I'm not saying that therapy wouldn't have helped, but it was just something about that coaching environment. I was around other women who were in very similar situations. And that alone, I think that took like half of the load off. I was like, okay, I'm not going crazy. This is not
Yeah.
like, yeah,
You're
I
not
am
alone.
not alone in this at all.
Hmm.
Um, and they were also going through the process of trying to balance all of the 100 things in life and build a business and not knowing how to proceed. We were all confronting things in our personal life, all of our baggage from that we didn't even know we had. I remember it was like in those sessions, I was like, oh, I have baggage. I didn't even
Yeah.
know I had baggage. And apparently I have baggage. I couldn't figure out what the baggage was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But for the first time, I realized I wasn't actually fighting a battle in the present. And I think that was a huge light bulb moment. It was like, there are things that I have believed and carried from the past that are here and blocking me right now.
Hmm.
And it was that realization. Now, I still had a way to go in terms of like identifying them and learning how to let them go. But, that was all part of the journey. And I think that is, it's not something that we acknowledge very often. I shouldn't say very often. I think as moms too, we have in our mind, I just have to push through this.
Yeah.
And I just need to work harder. I just need to
Yeah.
do more. And it's very much in that, it's like tunnel vision. And we kind of just live in this space of more control, do. And it is such a recipe for burnout
Yeah.
because
We get in our own way. We get in
we
our
do.
own way and stuck in our own hamster wheel of what we think it should be, an expectation and all of the pushing through, and then we're like, what are we doing?
We doing?
What are we doing?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And look back as we're having this conversation right now, I'm looking back on something I did during COVID and I'm like, whoa, that was like total trying to exert control. So with all of the craziness, I put my family on a schedule. So I'm like, we are all going to be up by 8 a.m. I mean, we didn't have to have alarms anymore because, we
Yeah.
didn't need alarms at that point, right? So that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were generally all up by 8. Breakfast finished by 9. They're going to have reading time after that. They're going to have baths. They're going to have snack time. They're going to have exercise time. And I had everybody on this strict timetable. And I would go minorly crazy if they deviated from my from my schedule.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm saying this now and I'm like, what was I thinking? But it was the only way in that moment I could find some source of calm. I felt like I had no control over anything, so I had to bring control down to this routine and keeping everybody in line and in order. And so that didn't work most of the time.
It's funny though how we'll do that, how we will, because we, like you said, there's no control. So you're like, okay, I'm going to bring in some control. And then you're like, oh, is this working though?
Exactly.
Is this really making me feel better?
But yeah, so
So
that
what
was
did you do then?
um it was right. So it was like going through all of that. And we'd also had like some personal issues too, because at that time we had some extended family disruptions. And I remember even like trying to control that. I didn't have control. I wasn't actually in the middle of those situations, but I remember trying to limit you know, my family's exposure to those people. I remember just feeling a lot of animosity towards them, but of course never saying anything and just being really passive aggressive about it. And then again, through the coaching that I was in, I started to recognize those things. And I think one of the biggest outcomes I had towards the end of that first year was an ability to kind of forgive. And when I did that and I just saw how freeing it was, like I thought I had to control that situation by keeping myself angry and separate. And then I saw the difference when I was like, oh no, this is actually not my problem. I don't have control of this. I didn't have control of their actions. The only thing I have control of is how I'm responding. And you know what? I'm tired of being angry. And I'm tired of trying to create a separation of people. So relax. And I think even my husband, he was just like, oh wow. Like,
Yeah.
what is that about? What are you doing? I'm like, well, it wasn't therapy, but it was
Right.
close enough. Um, so, and that was the beginning of my recognizing that the only true thing I had control over was myself and my reactions and how I felt. And in that too, I also stopped trying to control all of the routines for my family. I stopped trying to control how my husband felt about things that I was doing or my journey, because part of my journey was it. I don't know about you, Shauna. I don't know about any of our listeners, but at one point, you know, some of the spaces that we were in online where it's like, you know, you have to go all in, you have to drop everything else, you have to have no plan B because plan B is a distraction, quit your job and get your business done. And
Yep.
of course I was like buying into all of that, and I'm like, yes, and telling my husband I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to get this business done, and he was just like, are you crazy?
He's
What?
like, hold on.
I mean, I can laugh at this now, but that was
Yeah.
a serious issue because
Mhm.
again, it was just taking so much frustration from so many different places, not knowing what to do with it, and throwing it all at him because it was like, you are like the only, in retrospect, I recognize he was the only safe space that I had.
Mhm.
And it was like, here, you take it. And I don't know what to do with this. But then in doing that and expecting him to handle it, I was that was creating a major wedge between us two. So it was getting to that point of realizing, right, my frustrations with my 9 to 5 job didn't have to seep into my marriage. It didn't have to seep into even the business I was trying to build, and didn't have to seep into my relationships with my children. And it was that process of learning how to let go of certain things, how to compartmentalize, not compartmentalizing to the point of being robotic, but recognizing when it was time to switch off of certain things and
Mhm.
focus on others. So that was, yeah, that was my process and my journey, and it's still a work in progress, but we've come a very long way from that for sure.
Yeah. 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 That's definitely a thing when you can, I'll say punch out, if you will, punch out from your 9 to 5 and move into the space of, being a mom of when you're home and doing all of the things after, right? And then also, punching out of that to, be a wife. It's like all the roles that we have with the boundaries of having it, like, yes, they kind of bleed and intertwine into each other in a way, but it's I like that you said that because there needs to be some type of boundary and separation from them as well, so not like everybody's not in the big messy tornado. Otherwise, you're just like, "Ah!" Everything's gonna feel like that.
That's it.
It's gonna
That's
get
it.
too much and overwhelming.
Right. And I like it that you used the word tornado. I remember once telling my coach that's what I felt like, a tornado in a jar. And if anybody pushed that jar too hard, I was just going to escape and just wreak total and utter destruction.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was Oh, but yes.
Yes, it's like managing, it's like we are like the managers of our tornadoes. Like the tornadoes are happening all around us, and we have to choose whether to step closer or away from them, if we want to walk through them, if we want to, just
Mhm.
to not have chaos and everything and total destruction.
Exactly. Exactly. Ah,
So tell me some things that you are super passionate about and that you like to do. Like what makes you tick? What makes you get like excited for the day?
um, don't laugh. I still have a soft spot for the schedules.
Yeah, I can relate. It's fine.
But I'm a bit more realistic. I don't try to schedule everybody else's life anymore. I'm like, no, I like to have my day planned. Um, one of the things, well, two of the things that helped me a lot as well were I kind of I mean, I grew up in a religious family, but I kind of distanced myself, and it was while we would go to church, I wouldn't say that I had any great relationship, with God or anything like that. But part of that was kind of bringing this sense of there is something bigger than me. There is something greater than me in this world, greater than what I have right in front of me, and finding ways to incorporate that into my daily life. So even like learning how to journal and meditate, or to start my day that way, I brought that in. Um, exercise. I always said I wanted to start running, and I finally did start running. So like those two things to kind of get my day started, I mean, pretty much totally transformed how I would greet the day. And then the practice of the gratitude practice. Uh, it almost sounds so, because we hear it so much these days, it almost sounds trite, but it really is true. When you can spend 5 minutes even just thinking about what actually is working in your life, because not everything is a shitstorm. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that on your podcast.
You can. You can.
But
No,
not
I
everything.
would I agree. I 100% agree with you. I feel that by and large most of the time, as a group of humans, for some reason, we go straight to the negative. And I feel like, that's why this whole gratitude and what are you thankful for and things gets brought up a lot, because it is true. When you have that practice and when you do that, you are actively choosing to look at the light. You're actively choosing to look at the positive. You're actively choosing to stop going, like stopping the negative part and shifting into a positive part. And with enough practice, you
Yeah.
eventually stop just automatically going to the negative. So I love that you brought that up, because that's a huge, you're so right when you're like, and it's true, because it is. It's like, it's almost like one of those things where it's like, okay, we're telling you that it's true. Just try it out. Just try it out and see how it works for you.
It does, it does. Oh, and I remember too listening to a podcast once, and one of the speaker said something that really stuck with me. That we hear about life has highs and lows, and in his mind, he always pictured it as like rolling hills. So sometimes you'd be low, sometimes you'd be high, and then one day the realization came that that's not what it is. It's that in the same day you will have highs and you will have lows, because there's always something that's going to be great in your life, and there's always going to be something that's really not great in your life. And it's about learning how to manage the things that aren't great and enjoy the things that are. So that's where the gratitude practice is very important, because when you can wake up and remember that there are good things, there are things beyond me that are worth my time and effort, and then, okay, let's deal with that problem that just won't go away.
Yes. 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 How I visually see that is, you, instead of having peaks and valleys, like straighter edges and steeper peaks and valleys. It's more of a wave when you practice it. So you're more working with it because you will go up and down. But do you want to go up, like, sharp up and sharp down, or do you want to kind of like move with it? And with practicing those things, it helps you have more of waves versus, peaks and valleys. At least that's how I picture it when you're describing it to me.
No, and that's exactly it. Oh, do you know what else really helped as well? I would wake up first thing in the morning and I used to just pick up my phone. Now, of course, we know that's not the best thing, right? No, and I'll be like looking at what happened on Facebook, what happened on Instagram, what didn't happen because I didn't get enough, interaction with this post. What's in the email? Oh, I didn't have any sales yesterday. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah. Stop it, Kim, stop it.
Yeah.
So and this is how I started the gratitude practice. I told myself, no, when I wake up I have to say a prayer and say what I'm grateful for before I'm allowed to check my phone. So in the beginning, because I was so itching to get to my phone, that's what made me say the prayer and have the gratitude practice. So but now I can, I wake up and I naturally do the prayer and the gratitude practice and I can go have breakfast and I'm like, oh, okay, fine. What's happening on face,
Yeah.
so but that helped again, not waking up and the first thing on my mind is work. That
Yeah.
helped so much.
The feeling is definitely different
Mhm.
doing that. I'm glad that you said that too. I also have done that because I found, like, it is such a habit to get into, right? That I started putting my phone across to where I have to get, first of all, I have to get out of bed to turn my alarm off
Right.
because my alarm's on my phone, right? So I
Yep.
turn my alarm off, but that is the only time I touch my phone when I'm already out of bed. So, so
Yep.
continue, like,
Right.
continue on with your day. But then, like, I actually have a time where I have to do, like, I have a morning routine that I do. And until I'm done with that, I don't get to scroll or check or
Mhm.
read something or what have you. And the feeling of, I would say, like urgency. I don't, maybe a little like anxiousy. It's not like anxiety, like crazy anxiety, but it's like anxiousy. I feel like that is the feeling that you get, like the right now, next when you do that, when you do the phone thing in the morning. But when you take that time for yourself in the morning to do those things for yourself, it's like, then when you look at your phone, it's so different. It's like
It
such a
is.
different shift and it sets your day different. It's not just, I mean, yes, it's very palpable in the moment, but then I feel like to follow you through the day, it's just different. And I find, I don't know about you, but and I find that I have certain times now that I check my phone and then I don't anymore, like through the day. It's not just the morning. It's just like, well, whatever, my phone's over there. I don't even care.
That's it. That's it. I mean, I keep saying I probably should get onto Spotify or something instead because I might have like a playlist going and I might want to have, YouTube on one side or something. But that I think now when I look at the usage of my apps, it's totally different.
Yes. Yes. It's crazy. One little thing, right? Like one little change in habit and
Yeah,
how much better it can make you feel. And then just how once you take the step of changing the thing, then everything else like kind of falls into place with making it easier through your day. That's
yeah,
really cool. That's
yeah.
really cool. So tell me a little bit, because I know you're a mama. So tell me a little bit about, your momhood. What does that look like? How many kids do you have? What does that look like for you?
That looks like three boys.
Yeah.
Ages 7 to 12. That looks like having to let go of ideas of what a pretty house looks like.
Yes.
Really let that go to the point where my husband sometimes is like, so that thing about how you have a home, not a house? I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, we have a home, right? I'm like, oh yeah. It's a home.
Nice and cozy.
It's okay. Yeah. He's so, I mean, I know you're working when you're home, but like, don't you like see the stuff in the living room? I'm like, nope. I've really developed like some kind of I don't know. I don't see it anymore. I can't. If I see it, it'll drive me mad. So I
Oh,
just do not
yes.
see it anymore.
Yes. Yes. I know. That's so funny. It's so funny. And with different ages too, and different, things that they're going through and the amount of reminders and all the
Oh,
things. It's like that's something that I also have in my house lately is, you know, um, okay, it's time to go through and pick up. If you see something that is yours, can you please pick it up and put it, like in your room? Because I came like kind of, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like there came a time where I would walk through my house and I'd see all the things. And
yes.
I'm like, ugh. So then I'd like pick that up and pick that up. And I'm like, man, if I just picked up these 5 things, it would look so clean in here. And then I'm like, wait, hold up. I've been doing this
Mhm.
forever. I just pick up
Exactly.
all the things. And so this house gets clean because I pick up all the things and they're not my things. And so it's like, I need to stop and be like, wait, I can ask for them to pick up their things and see how it goes. So then it's like, I'm not doing all of, we have, as moms, we have a million things to do, right? So it's like, how can we kind of give a little to see
Right.
if they do it, as well as like kind of training them in a way to, oh, I need to pick up my stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
you do
And
that
I
for me?
like that. Yeah. You have to let them do it.
Mhm.
You have to give them that chance to show them that they can. Yes, it's easier if you just zip around and get it done quickly. Yeah, right
But
now
it
we're
can
going
be hard though. It can
it
be hard
hard.
for to like, okay, I'm not gonna pick up those shoes even though they're right in the middle of the living room. It's like sometimes it can kill you as a mom because you're like, I just want to move these shoes right now and it just be done. But you can't. You gotta wait.
No, right now we're going through because like the two older boys, they're 10 and 12, but they have an interest in like learning to do stuff for themselves in the kitchen. And it's so
Oh yeah,
painful. It's so hard.
I bet. I
I'm like, I
bet.
can be out of hair in 5 minutes, but instead it's been half an hour.
Or like, you might do something with like 4 pans and then they're gonna do something, or 4 utensils or whatever, but then there's this like 12 and you're like, oh man, that's a lot of dishes.
It is. It
But
is.
you're like, okay.
Yes. I was that, because my eldest wanted to do something the other day. I'm like, do you see how many dishes there are in the sink? Like, we can't even begin anything. It's like, okay, I'll do it. I was like, oh, all right then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's do that. I like that. I like that idea. That's funny. That's so funny.
But it
Three
is.
boys, 3 boys. Yeah.
Hmm. It's
Busy, busy.
we are, and similar to what you said, it's different. They're each at different stages, um, and I heard I was in a networking chat the other day, and another mom, she has 3 boys as well, but they're grown, and she's an accountability coach. And she said she found her calling because she had 3 sons. And
Yeah.
and she really did learn what it was to be an accountability coach through that. And I'm like, oh,
You're
yeah.
like, I see that. I see that. That's so funny. That's so funny. Well, tell me a little bit more about, because you said that you were a coach and I know that you're a relationship coach. Can you tell me a little bit more about your business and what you do for that?
I tell people that I am a relationship mentor and that I help women, because I work with women, bring the spark and connection back, like how it was when they first started dating. Except that now you're older and wiser, and you have a few more tools at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
But what it really boils down to, it's helping women rediscover the joy that they had in their relationship, helping them rediscover how they can feel cherished, how they can feel passionate within their relationship. Um, and it is amazing because we often come back to that whole thing about control. And it was interesting how we talked about in with relevance to our children, giving them the space to do certain things and grow in certain ways. what often happens in relationships is that one partner, especially, and I would say that this tends to happen often with women because we tend to have a bit more responsibility within the home with the kids. We do try to take on a lot, even when we may not have to. And when I say that, I say it from the perspective of, well, if I don't do it, he won't. And yes, I can just leave it, but then it still falls back on me. Part of that is it falls back on us because we grab it back.
Right.
And it's learning to let go, let go, let go, let go, rest. Really learn to rest, breathe, give our husbands, our partners, our boyfriends that space to grow into their roles. But the first thing we have to do is to relinquish it and to remind ourselves, what are we in control of? What are we not in control of? That's the work that I do. It's kind of give you that permission to not be everything to everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds simple, and I mean, I've been there, and I listen to people talk about boundaries and self-care, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds all great. I don't even have enough time to think about what that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I know, and I am 100% say, when I made that switch, start letting go of trying to control everything and everyone around me, that was a transformative moment in my life. And with that, with being a calmer person, a more, so sometimes I talk about and I'm sure you may have heard of it, the whole masculine energy, the whole feminine energy. Once I let go of that whole masculine drive to go, grab control, once I let go of that and kind of rested in my, I guess, more feminine power, more feminine energy, that space of nurturing, that space of even that space of compassion, it made a huge difference. Again, you have to let go of the things you're trying to control that you have no control over. It is amazing how damaging that is to us, and we don't even realize it until
Yep.
after.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right. Right on with that. I love how you repeated it too. You're like, let go, let go, let go. Yes. 3 times over.
Three
That, yes.
times over. Because you know what, though, as you go through it, I mean, there are things are going to happen again and again and again, and you have to remind yourself of that. I still remind myself of it. I still have to, certain circumstances come up and I'm like, oh, I can fix it. Oh, is it my place to fix that? Think about it.
I
If it
like that.
is, great. If not,
I
step
like
back.
that. Yeah, I like that. That's
Mhm.
really cool. That's really cool that you said that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah, time to check yourself,
Pretty much.
right?
Yep. Oh,
Again, because you can get in the role of doing all the things on the hamster wheel and you have to take a second to stop.
exactly. And so many of us do have so many plates that we're, what are we, spinning, juggling, whatever it is we think we're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, it's the wife role, it's the mom role, it's the employee role, it's the business owner role, it's sometimes the caregiver. You may have elderly parents or relatives
Mhm.
that you're caring for.
Yep.
It's a lot.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's why we need to recognize where are the areas that we're going to do certain things, and where are the areas that we're going to ask for help, and where are the areas that we don't need to be.
Yeah. I like that. Where are the areas we don't need to be? I like that one because we don't have to do everything.
Not all at once. No, no.
I love that. I love that. Well, I always like to ask my guests what they feel like their one of their superpowers are and if they would be willing to share that.
Sure. I think one of my superpowers is tenacity. I don't give up easily, which has served me very well in certain circumstances. As you can imagine, as somebody who with a control issue, it's not necessarily a good thing in some places.
Right.
But that's why I think it was important for me to learn where I should exert it and where not to. And so that tenacity in terms of um setting my goals, my big goals, and really sticking to them, not giving up, even when things are looking hard, being able to assess what is happening around me and stick to what I know holds true, what will bring the ultimate gratification at the end. It helps me even with my children, to recognize that, that saying, the days are long, but the years are short.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. I need to remind myself of that very often too. But again, sticking with it, sticking with you know, maybe I don't like to use the word punishments, but there are times you tell your kids they can't have something or there are consequences for doing certain things.
Yeah.
And you might feel, oh, was I too harsh? They're really sad about this. And it's like, no, no, this is not about feeling good in the moment. This is building character. This is helping them understand that sometimes they'll take actions that there's no reversing.
Right.
We can learn that lesson now before we make a mistake that is so big.
Hmm.
Uh, and then again with my husband, that tenacity to remember that this is a relationship that we want to last forever, and that this is a relationship that even when there are difficult times, that's okay. We will get through it. Um, but ultimately, it's you and me.
Yeah.
This is it. There's no one else, so we may as well make it work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say my tenacity.
I really like that. That's really great. I really like that. So where would listeners be able to find you if they were curious about working on their relationship stuff?
Facebook and Instagram. So Instagram, it's Ken De Silva. And
I will put all your information in the show notes as well so people can click on it if they would have any questions or would like to work with you. Thank you
thank,
so much for coming on the show and sharing everything.
thank
I love
you.
talking with you today.
You're welcome. This was fun.